I think I'm gonna throw up in my mouth when you put that green drink to your face.
What? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Indie Music Network podcast presented by Not Dead Yet Media. This is part two of our DSP and distribution episode, and we hope you enjoy it.
And forgive me because I was confusing one of the features of SoundCloud and Bandcamp, because if you've got a pro account with SoundCloud, then they will upload your songs to DSPs. So I just want to talk
Yes.
about SoundCloud for a minute because I did some research on it because I hadn't really looked at it in the last little while, and they've revamped what their platform is. It's very artist friendly. There's a real resurgence among people 18 to 24, particularly in dance and electronic and EDM genres. They're very popular. SoundCloud's own research has some numbers that were pretty interesting. 52% of their users are more likely to comment. 104% are more likely to share music that they like with others, with their network. And 85% of users are more likely to repost tracks onto their own channels. So there's a really interesting and active social play within the platform. It's a great place to test music. You could test versions, edits. You can use it to get some feedback. Put up a couple versions and ask people, what do they prefer? Do they prefer it with, the guitar in the front, leading off? Do they prefer a longer version? You can get feedback that way. You should engage with anyone who comments. Again, we had talked about this on our social media podcast. If people take the time or go to the trouble to comment, then you should acknowledge their comment, thank them, or interact with them.
Well, it means that they care. So why would
Yes.
you not?
Yeah.
So it's no matter. I mean, unless it's a harsh comment that doesn't fit. But anybody that's trying to give constructive criticism or engage with you is a fan, and then you want to grab them and thank them and talk to them as soon as you can.
100%.
Your point about SoundCloud is well, because they've done a remarkable job becoming a platform that matters. And again, they're in this day and age where it's everybody that has everything that's major or is you're trying to get money or do these things, they're not paying attention, and places like Bandcamp and SoundCloud are great, and they're communities, and the fact that you're seeing that high of engagement is and again, probably different for different genres, but the fact that there's engagement there, you need, it's as hard as this is, you need to be everywhere. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do it, but you just need to be everywhere. But these are two great platforms to really give yourself a chance to be discovered, and that's really what it's all about. So I think Bandcamp and SoundCloud are incredibly important partners to have when you're putting things out. Whatever system you're using for a DSP, those are great places to be able to go and make sure it's tagged everywhere, with your website, social media, everywhere,
Yes.
so that people could go. You need to let everybody know that you're on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. So that's just really important to put out everywhere, because no one's going to guess and assume that you're doing that.
Yeah, to your point, you make sure that your socials, that your SoundCloud or Bandcamp account are linked to socials. In doing research for this episode, I came across a great tip that within SoundCloud you can use tags for artists that you like, or if you think that someone who likes one particular band would like your song, use that tag when you put it up. And something really, I thought it was really exciting that just got announced early in July, is that they've got a partnership now. SoundCloud has a partnership now with a relatively new company called Elastic Stage. And that is a company where you can manufacture vinyl or CDs on demand. So there you don't have to run 100 or 200 with them. You can take orders through SoundCloud, and
So on
then
demand, sorry, Rebecca. So on demand would
yeah,
mean I've got 20 friends who are going to buy my vinyl. I could get paid up front and then order them and then get them sent. And is that what we're saying by on demand?
yes, thank you for asking that question, because yes, you'll take the orders in advance. You don't have to, as an artist, you don't have to put the money up front to pay for the manufacturing. They get manufactured, they get sent to the people who have ordered them, and then you share the money made with SoundCloud. So if you're really tight on cash, this could be a great way to get your music, your physical music, in the hands of people without that financial strain.
But they'll take care of shipping it.
I believe they can,
So
yes.
so again, as Heather would say on research, so many places that would distribute vinyl have a minimum order that you'll never be able to do, or your upfront cost is crazy. So this could be a great thing, but you need to look at it because they're going to take a piece, SoundCloud's going to take a piece. You need to make sure that you're going to make a profit on it, because the last thing you need is to not make enough to do this. But it's a great way to start. So as long as you're at least getting things going, and they'll, I'm sure it's basic vinyl, I'm sure it's not going to be
Yeah,
anything elaborate, just so they could get it done. And also you want to check when they're going to, what's their shipping timeline, so when you
right.
put the order in to when it goes, because when you're making this promotion or putting this out through SoundCloud and people do it, tell them in advance. It's say 8 weeks, it's 10 weeks, whatever, however it is, and maybe add a little bit more time, because the last thing you need is for someone to say, I ordered this and I haven't gotten it. So take it, add a week or two as a buffer.
Yeah,
But make sure you have that, because in whatever you're interacting with a fan, and they're going to buy it, they need to know in advance how long to wait.
right.
A, to decide to buy it, and B, they don't get disappointed, because you just now, as you're building a relationship, you don't want to do that. But the fact that there's some kind of ecosystem within SoundCloud, and offering this on demand is fantastic for an artist that doesn't have to expend any money. You just need to know how much you're going to net when you do this.
One of the things actually that I learned this year, working with Rebecca, with an artist, because Russ, you made a great point of saying, like, always add more time. So if it's 8 weeks, maybe tell them 10. I always thought it was so interesting how long physical products take to make. So like, let's say this artist that we had was going on tour, and she wasn't going on tour until like September or October. We were already behind the eight ball like in April. So like, Rebecca, I don't know if you want to touch more just on physical distribution as a whole, but I just thought that was, I personally
Yeah,
didn't even realize that.
yeah. When it comes to physical product, which means physical versions that you can hold in your hand of your music, it's typically vinyl, which is making a huge comeback. It keeps growing every year in popularity and sales, and CDs. And CDs are
Well, Russ,
something.
looks like you're set in the back with
I was gonna say, unbelievable or not, but cassettes and 8 tracks are also available. But that
Yeah,
this all comes with merch. And again, Rebecca explained this, but I just want to do apples to apples. What we were talking about with SoundCloud is a basic timeline.
yeah.
yes,
So what Heather started talking about was an artist that was much farther along, and we were doing more elaborate manufacturing of things that were special. So that timeline that all of a sudden would sound like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. That's because we were doing things special. If you're just doing a basic version, that wouldn't have happened.
well, here's the interesting thing about vinyl, and I think it's kind of like it's the surprise aspect of it, is it generally will take 8 to 10 weeks to manufacture the vinyl, to actually have your records pressed at the pressing plant. But before it even is manufactured, you have to have that time scheduled, because there aren't that many pressing plants in the States. There are some overseas too, and you can contact them and find out how much it would cost plus shipping here to the States. We're in this example, we're going to talk about an artist who wants to make vinyl who's based in the States. But you also need to, you can't, on, let's say, September 1st, say, hey, I'm ready to press my vinyl. It'll be ready by the middle of November. You have to allow it, that manufacturing time, to be scheduled. Like, it's like a recipe.
Crazy.
You have to allow time to go to the grocery store and get all your ingredients before you come back and you make dinner, so to speak.
Yeah, but
great analogy, girl.
But here's the thing. This is not a problem. These are opportunities, and this is the way you work out timing, because it's still you're dealing in a digital space right now. So you have the single coming out. You're going to have more than one single coming out. The singles are going to be, hopefully more than 4 weeks apart. So let's say they're, I like to stretch it out longer, but even if they're 6 to 8 weeks apart, you're planning this out, and it's not something to worry about. It's something that makes the record last longer, because you're putting out at least 3 singles before you put your EP out or your album. So while the only point I think that's really important is that Rebecca and Heather are making is that you need more time, because it's not digital, to be able to do this, to either get in line or get this out. So let's say, even if it's a 4-month process, that's fine with putting out 3 singles.
Right.
The point is, you can't be sitting in the 3rd single going, I better put a vinyl out for your EP. You need to plan the vinyl on the 1st single, knowing that you're going to put that out. And hey, going back to the DSP is not a bad thing to put in the bullet point that you're going to be doing that too. And also not a bad thing to get pre-orders to promote things out, and also not a bad thing when you're on the road. So again, there's all these platforms that let you get on DSPs, so you're on there. But all these other things need to be interconnected, because you're trying to get, it's an attention economy. You're trying to get people's awareness. So all these things are great. It's just, again, I know there's a lot of things that go into you. You're an artist now, and now you also have to be a CEO, and that's just life right now. But you know what? You always had to kind of be. So there was just always different problems over the time. And that's where friends are really important to help with that, because, sometimes, there are some artists that I look at a calendar, I'm going nuts. But if you were planning a tour, if you were trying to do something in different things, it's the same thing. You just need to kind of sit with friends, beer and pizza, whether it's on a computer or a big freaking art pad, and just go, we're going to do this. So it's not, these are all opportunities and all things that you should do, because it doesn't cost you anything on the vinyl, especially if you could do it on demand. That would be awesome. But they're all part of the process of promoting what you're trying to do and make it longer. So I think the thing that's being stressed here is that there's a lot of great platforms for you to be on. There's an opportunity for you not just to be digital, but to be on vinyl. It's just a matter of planning. So the fans that you have, you want to make sure that you want to make sure you're taking care of them.
In the show notes, I will have a list of some places to start for manufacturing both vinyl and CDs. And there's some places like CD Baby that has a partnership with disc makers for vinyl and CDs, or you could go straight into disc makers. I couldn't find any difference in price between the two, but if you happen to be working with CD Baby, then they already have this partnership. But we'll provide some more details in the show notes.
Great segue. You just teed that one up for me. We're going to end with digital distribution after our physical distribution lovely lesson from lovely Rebecca. Okay, so digital distribution, that is how you get onto these DSPs. So some examples of that would be DistroKid, CD Baby, as Rebecca had said. One super important thing with any of the distribution companies, even if they don't have them, is getting a pre-save link for the music. Another great way to get emails, names. A lot of it can be built into the platform, but if not, I suggest Linkfire, and people have to put in their emails, which, like, if they've pre-saved it on Spotify, you'll get all of that information. Another newer thing that a lot of artists have been taking advantage of is discovery mode on Spotify, which is where Spotify will take some of your older music and they'll take a bigger cut, which can be even up to 50% of the royalties. But they will take older songs and really start pushing them out on Discover Weekly or through like Spotify radio, which means like if your playlist runs out, it'll start to play other songs that are similar to it. As of right now, DistroKid, CD Baby, and Symphonic are the only ones that allow discovery mode. So be mindful of that when you're choosing a distributor. Artists also ask a lot, like, okay, what if I'm going to sign a distribution deal? What am I looking for? Or if you're already on an indie label and doing distribution, I would look absolutely at, are they pitching for DSP playlisting? As we just said, that's, I think, probably the number one reason that you would sign a distribution deal. They can also help with sync. They can help with marketing assistance. They can help with ad placements. Do they do physical distribution? Because some don't. And are you a priority? Russ loves to say, whatever business it is has 3 priorities at one given time. So make sure that they are not just taking a high percent to really not do much of anything.
Well, I just to jump in here. So be practical. So these are all practical things, but how do you know? Because if someone is interested, they're going to say anything they want, and how do you hold it to them unless it's in a contract? So if you're talking about a larger distribution company or anything else, friends, you have other friends and bands, see who else is on there, because that's also who you want to go with, and then you could call and see what they're doing, because whatever they tell you they're going to do, they'll get to, but their business plan is scale. They want as many as possible so they can make some money. That's the only way they do it. So the whole point about everything we talk about is about the traffic jam, that there's just so much out there. Well, there's traffic jams with these guys too. So they're another answer, another thing to use, and it's great, but the expectation should be it's another thing. It's still on you and your team to get going, because once you're there, you don't go, okay, my work here is done. They're going to take care of it. They're not. So you need to ask these questions that Heather was bringing up. You need to do some, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying the word research again, but you need to do that in the sense of find out who else they're doing, what other bands, what they've had, what successes they've had, get some examples, call some friends, and do that so you have a good idea about where to go. All of these guys have great success stories. They've all done wonderful things, but those success stories are still talking about percentage compared to the 100%. So the top 10% have amazing stories, but not, there's no way possible for them to do everything for everyone. So you want to figure out where you are in the scheme of things. But that doesn't mean that you don't go to them. You want to go to them, but you want to go in with your eyes open and knowing what they are, and they're just another, you've successfully climbed another peak, but there's still 20 more peaks in front of you. Right. So you just want to be able to use them as another thing. So that's all this is about.
All right, Rebecca, you want to read us out, because I gotta turn this AC back on.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell on my face. I'm like,
I guess I was distributing too much knowledge.
You were.
It was a hot take, Russ. Thanks for listening to the Indie Music Network podcast. If you found this episode helpful, share it with an artist or an industry friend. And if you want more practical, no bullshit strategies to build your music career, hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Follow us on socials at Not Dead Yet Media. And if you have questions or feedback or want to send music, contact us at notdeadyetmedia.com/contact. The music you're hearing today is artist Tosh Wolf's song Electric Blue. Until next time, keep making music that matters And remember, in the words of Frank Turner, we can get better because we're not dead yet.
We're not dead yet. Russ, you always forget to say it.
I'm giving Rebecca the chance to be able to read us out in a professional manner. I would never interrupt her like you just did. I just
No, because we're not dead yet. You know.
But I would say that even if you don't find this interesting and don't like it, send it to other people and ask their opinion.
For sure.
And if they don't like it, don't let us know.